Welcome to With One Accord, a brief time presented by the Houston Chamber Choir each Monday and Friday to join us together despite this temporary isolation, to be renewed and refreshed through the power of choral music. I'm April Harris, Manager of Operations, and I'm thrilled to host today's Education Spotlight. Inspiration. One of the most beautiful and impactful gifts an educator can grant their students. To inspire an individual is to directly invest in the future, to provide a catalyst for endless possibilities. However, as powerful a tool inspiration is, it can often be an elusive and challenging gift to provide and maintain. I had the privilege of chatting with choral directors Daryle Freeman and Jefferson, a dynamic duo from Aldine ISD's Benjamin O. Davis High School that are cracking the code on how to inspire. They share a common goal with educators worldwide and are navigating the challenges with a finesse and a wisdom well beyond the years of their choral program's young history. Their dedication to choral music and educating their students in a mutually inspirational environment has helped take their choirs to unmatched heights of artistic and technical skill, and instilled a love and understanding of the continuous and connective powers of choral music. Under the leadership of Daryle and Lanitha, Davis High School's choral program is set for guaranteed success. I am so excited for the great achievements and future choral music innovators that will come from this program in the future. Joining me today from Aldine ISD's Benjamin O. Davis High School are choral directors Daryle Freeman and Lanitha Jefferson. Guys, thank you so much for chatting with me today. How are you?
Thank you. We're doing fine. Thank you so much for inviting us. We are very honored and we're excited to do this interview with you.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you all so much for inviting us to come out today.
Of course. So let's get started. We can talk a little bit about your background. Just kind of tell me about your music education, choral music in your life, just like a brief kind of rundown of how interwoven choral music and music education is in your personal stories.
Okay, Ms. Jefferson, you want to go first or you want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first.
Okay.
No, music education has always been integral to my life since 6th grade. I didn't really fall in love with it until 7th grade when I had this amazing middle school choir director, Miss Kitty Antoff. And she made me really realize how good I was. I just thought I was just regular. And I fell in love with it then. And so I decided to continue it in high school. I was able to become a part of the All-State Choir my sophomore year. And then from there, I was able to get a scholarship to LSU for music education. And so after graduating there, I came back here to Houston and I worked a couple of years as a special ed para. And I got a call from my middle school director saying, hey, it's time, stop running. We need good middle school or good choir directors. And so she was like, I know the perfect guy. Y'all have worked so well together. He was sort of perfect. Talking about Freeman. And so I interviewed and we've been together ever since. So I'm in my 6th year going on my 7th year next year as a choir director at Davis.
Okay. My choir started, like a lot of people in the church. My mom was the choir director. In elementary school, I was not in choir until 5th grade. And it was actually maybe 2 months into the year because I was kind of one of those statistics where I didn't believe that choral music was for, African-American kids because that's just not something that we grew up listening to. But I was singing one day, I can't even name the song, but I was singing one day in the classroom and the choir director passed by the room and she was like, come here. And she was like, why aren't you in choir? And I was like, I'm good. And she was like, no, I'm going to put you in choir. And so I was in what they call the honor choir, 5th grade honor choir, my first day there. blew me away. I fell in love with a whole different style of music. And so on my way home, you know, and I'm just singing in the car. My mom's like, oh my God. But she knew my passion for it. So like that was it. I was sold on choral music. It became my number one thing. Anyone who rides in the car with me knows you're going to have a different, you know, variety of music, but you're going to hear choral music. Shut up, Ms. Jefferson. You are, because I love it. I'm just so passionate about it. So from there, I went on to high school and middle school. I was in band and choir. I was a 4-year All-Stater, Louisiana All-State. Jefferson was an All-Stater too, Texas All-State Choir. And then I went to Jackson State University, where I studied under Dr. Castilla, Dr. Phyllis Lewis Hale, Dr. Elistine Perkins Holly. And they were all trying to push me into the performance side of it because they figured, or they believed that I had, you know, talent to do that. But I always knew I wanted to educate. Like I loved choral music. I loved the sound of a choir. So I was like, no, I'm going into education, you know. And so once they stopped fighting that, it was over. I started in Aldine in 2004. Then I went back to Jackson State and got my master's, and I came back to Aldine in 2008. Yes, because it's about to be my 10-year high school reunion. I'm telling my age. And I've been back ever since. This is my 16th year I just completed. And like Ms. Jefferson said, I started off at Carver High School. We were there for 4 years, and I built the program there. And my principal was like, hey, I got the job at the new high school, and you know you're coming with me. And I'm like, okay. So we did that. And the first year I was by myself. The second year I had an assistant, and it was cool. It just didn't work out. And then that next year, Kitty Amsoff called me. I was on my way to church, and she was like, Daryle, I have a director for you. And I was like, oh, okay. She was like, no, I have the person that you're going to hire. I was like, okay. You know, I was like, who is it? And so she told me her name. I was like, Lanitha. Okay, that's an interesting name. So, of course, I knew I would be able to find that on Facebook right away. So, of course, I Facebooked and looked her up because I was like, I want to know who this person is. And I think she was in New Orleans because her best friend was getting married. So I saw all these pictures. I said, okay, she seems like a fun person. We did the interview. We interviewed maybe like 8 to 10 people. But we just had a connection, you know. And in the interview that I set up, you know, the principal was like, so how are we going to make this difference? So I was like, well, I'm going to have my kids come to the interview, and then I want to see how they teach the kids. I just want to see each person warm them up. And she was like, I've never done an interview like this. She was like, that's great. So, you know, we didn't tell none of the people, any of the applicants. And it was like, at the end of the interview, we're like, all right, so we're going to go to the choir room and you're going to warm up some of the kids. So they were like, really? And Miss Jefferson was there. And I have to tell the story. I know she don't hate it.
My long nails, because I just came from my best friend's wedding.
Yes.
Before, so I had these long nails.
Yes, but she did an awesome job besides all the nails clicking on piano. And it's been great. You know, because when you have coworkers, you don't know how the relationship is going to go, but we are the best of friends. Like we're straight shooters. And it didn't take long for us to grow into that bond. You know, whenever she decides to get her own choir and leave me, I'm totally going to be devastated, but she's awesome and she's going to do well. She does that.
Thank you.
Wow. I love your guys' connection, and just it was almost instantaneous. It's just, I love that type of relationship.
Not gonna lie, coming in, I was like, oh my God, this is the great Daryle Freeman that everybody spoke about, you know. Yeah. So it was a little intimidating at first, but then you start, you know, putting your walls down and start looking at the person as a mentor, and you go through things together, so you're naturally growing together. Mm-hmm. And so it's grown into something beautiful.
Oh yes, definitely.
And so Davis High School, it's a new school. It's recently opened in 2012, I want to say. Is it 2012?
Yes, 2012.
And you guys just are the start to this wonderful choral program.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about how you were able to evolve the program over these years?
Okay. Well, I'll start out just a little bit. In the beginning, like I said, I was the only director there. My principal actually called me in July of 2012, and he was like, hey, I need you to write the school song, and I need it by Friday. And I was like, what? So I wrote the school song, I wrote the instrumentation for it and everything. So, you know, I felt honored to have that, you know, to be honored to ask to even do that. So when I first started, I probably had 150 kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, because at Carver, my biggest group was like 95, you know, so, and that's what I wanted. I said, hey, I want a bigger school. I want to have more choirs, but, you know, be careful what you ask for because it can become overwhelming sometimes. But like I said, that first year, I was a little worried about, you know, we were a new school. We had kids coming from 3 to 4 different middle schools who had already established, especially, you know, their schools already. And then we had incoming sophomores, which means they were freshmen at another campus already. So you have high school rival kids that are coming together to be a part of this one thing. But Davis and my principal was Tom Caldwell at the time. We did a really good job of just getting everybody focused in on being Falcons. And so that's just how we started. So the kids, starting off, you know, you don't know what you're going to get because you have kids from everywhere, but they came in, they were eager to learn. They learned about me very quickly and the things that I expect and my expectations from them. So they knew I didn't play as choir director, but they knew that it was tough love. And we worked extremely hard. They worked extremely hard. I told them in the first year, I was like, so, you know, when we go to competition, we have to have a sweepstakes. So you have to do that. Like, that's what people expect of me. And I don't want to go back, you know, go backwards. And so I know I put a lot of pressure on them, but they definitely rose to the occasion. And that next year, it was like 230 kids signed up for choir. And I was like, okay, y'all gonna have to do something because there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this by myself. And so I was able to get an assistant director. And he was actually my cousin, Mr. Jerome Wilson. Shout out to Jerome Wilson. But he had to go back to school, and he did that. And then that's when I got Miss Jefferson. So she came in the third year, so traditions were still being built. The one thing that I had already started was like, you know, the choir picnic where I would cook for the kids, and we did the Christmas parties, and we did Pop Show, which was totally new to me because Pop Show was not something I grew up with. That was something that was here in Texas. My choir director in Louisiana did not believe we did not do anything pop.
Tell me a bit about Pop Show. What is
that? Okay, so Pop Show, and this is Miss Jefferson's thing. I have no. I'm a very yes.
Miss Jefferson, would you want to tell us a little bit more about Pop Show?
So like I grew up in Texas. I grew up in Aldine ISD, which is the district we teach in. Mm-hmm. And so it was ingrained in us. Show choir. We used to have our little show choirs where we dance and sing. And so Pop Show was always the end of the year show that you kind of you finally get to do the music. Because when I first signed up for choir, I signed up under the premise that we were going to be doing stuff like they did in
Sister Act.
We're going to be doing like joyful, joyful noise, you know? And so when I joined, he was like, we're going to be doing choral. And I was like, what about joyful, you know? But the end of the year is kind of like when the students get to do those more pop songs, they get to dance, they get to sing, choreography, and you just let the stress of all of the year go. And so what I like to do is have themes. Some people don't do things. They just, you know, whatever the kids try out with, whatever songs you want to do, you do. But I like themes because it's more organized, you know, it's a purpose.
Yes.
And so we pick a theme literally the year before we even start the school year.
Yes.
And kids are already asking, Miss, what's going to be the theme next year so I can get my solo together. So this year our theme was supposed to be Broadway. And the year before, the theme was A Night at the Grammys?
A Night at the Grammys, yes. No.
It was Legends.
Legends, yes.
People that have died or lived and died. So we did songs like by Prince and Aretha Franklin, where all the girls did Respect. And, you know, they were with their little attitude. I mean, it was really awesome.
Now, the funny thing about that was kids was running up to me like, Mr. Freeman, it says such, you know, are they dead? And I'm like, no, they're not dead. Oh man, that means I can't do the song. I'm like, oh my God, why did we pick this thing?
Yeah, you know,
but,
I think that had just died a couple of months before that. So it was very memorable. We were able to we normally honor our seniors. So we have like a senior slideshow where we have like a baby picture of them and then their senior photo. Yeah. And so they stand and we play like a very sentimental song and they're all crying and everybody's crying because it's like their last show at Davis. And last year was actually pretty powerful because we were able to honor one of our students who actually has gone on to glory. He passed away a couple of months ago. Yeah. But last year we were able to honor him. He developed brain cancer. And so what I did is I got all of the teachers that wanted to volunteer, and I got them together to sing a song at our pop show, Stand By Me.
Oh,
And so they sung and they dedicated the song to him. I mean, it was not a dry
No,
eye.
it was beautiful.
It was so beautiful and so powerful just to have those teachers there and the families and everybody there showing support. So it's just, Pop Show is just our way of honoring and just letting go and just having fun and saying, you know, we did it. We made it to the end, kind of
Yes.
thing. So we look forward to, I think Freeman likes it. He didn't like it at first, but
I've grown to like it. And it gives me an opportunity not to hold it over the kids' heads, but they're like, you know, what are we doing for pop show? And I'm like, look, if we don't get through this fall concert, we're not even talking about a pop show. So, but she heads that up. She does an awesome job. It's the time I get to just lay back and just kind of chill and let her do her thing. And she's been doing an awesome job. So,
and the kids, you know, they all, you know, because we work in Title I school.
Yeah.
And so with Pop Show, with each number, they have to wear certain costumes.
right.
So it's a time for us to go to Goodwill and, you know, Salvation Army, and we just order their closets. And I'll say, okay, for this number, you'll need a white top with blue jeans and blah, blah, and they make it work.
They do. They really do.
And so it's just a lot of fun. They get to dress up and do their makeup and their hair. And I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
A lot of fun.
great. Can I come to the next pop show?
Yes, definitely.
Sounds like everything.
Definitely. We're going to invite
Like
you.
90s music or
Yes.
Motown or something. We'll see.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
Okay.
So at about 250 students
Yes.
in your choral program, I'm sure that a lot of them are at varying stages of their vocal training.
Yes.
How have you figured out how to engage all of your students in those varying levels of their study?
Well, that's actually a good question. What we had to do at first, because actually our numbers had gotten really close to 300, a little over 300, I want to say. And we weren't getting another director. So we were like, how are we going to manage this? Like, this is crazy. Like, it's so many kids. So we started doing a end of the year audition. So from that audition, we would place the kids in different choirs. We have 7 different groups at Davis High School. So that way we're able to place those kids who are that's on the same level to that level. And they all have the goal of getting to one of the varsity choirs. So that's how we did that. But in the midst of that, we started realizing that in our freshman class, we had kids who had exceptional talent who were way above what the class that they were in. So I was like, okay, well, next year we're going to try something, and we'll like get all the top freshman girls together and put them in their own choir. And so the first year we did that class actually graduated in 2019. Yes. And they were awesome. I mean, and I taught it at first, having that class, and I was like, oh God, I have to teach freshmen again. But they were amazing. They were eager, and they were, eager and scared at the same time, because they all had heard the choirs before. We're very active in our middle school and our elementary schools. We do a Christmas tour every year where we go down to see them. So that way the kids already know who we are. We do workshops with them. We get them prepared. A lot of our kids sometimes will go back to their middle school and work with them after school. So it just kind of keeps the ball rolling. So we're never just like, oh my God, how are we going to recruit kids? We have that process already down packed. So kids generally kind of flock to us, and you'll have kids who've never been in choir, like, I want to be in choir, like, I love what y'all do, and we really want to be a part of it. So, but
tell them, or they hear us singing and they're like, oh my God,
yes,
y'all are actually good,
right.
So, but just engaging all of the students, I think it's just when they buy into the idea of what we're about.
Yeah.
They realize like how awesome my program is, like they want to be a part of it.
They do.
And so they're eager to work hard to get to the level that we expect them. And that's one of the things that I learned from Freeman. Coming in, I kind of, my expectations, I kind of just made them like, okay, they're freshmen, so they only kind of do this.
Oh, no.
Learning from Freeman, he sets the bar high. And he's like, these are my expectations, meet them. and I was like, are you sure that can, I'm all skeptical, but I've really learned like to really, really push the kids, because they can do it.
They can.
They need to get over that comfort, being in that comfort zone that
Mhm.
they're in a lot of times, you know.
Yes.
And so I think once they buy into the idea of what we're about, and we pay, you know, we show them past choirs and they listen to them, they're like, I want to sound like that. And
Right.
like, I'm glad you want to sound like that. This is
This
how
is how you do it.
so and
Yes.
so when we build those relationships, and I think me and Freeman overall, the reason why we're so successful is because we know how to build those relationships with the students.
Definitely.
Because they see us, you know, yes, they see us as choir teachers, but they see us as so much more.
Yeah.
And so the people that they can come to and confide in, and the people they can be safe around. And I think that really helps and pushes them as well. So,
Yes, and it's awesome to have a kid who comes in, they don't know how to sight read, they haven't had any choral experience, and then they get to their senior year and they're sight reading at the varsity level, and I want to try out for choirs. Like we have kids in college choirs, and it's like, you know, you feel a sense of wow, you know, I really had a part of that, and they let you know, like they have no problem letting us know. They try to make us cry every chance they get. Like if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing this, and it's like, oh, you know, that's why we do this. So. Yes, so we meet them where they are and get them where we know they can be.
yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of raising the bar and
Okay.
choral excellence, the
Okay.
Davis High School Choir performed at Houston Chamber Choir's 19th annual Hear the Future Invitational Concert.
Yes.
And unbelievable performance, unbelievable dedication that your choir has. I was wondering if you could talk a bit about your experience at Hear the Future, just some of the things that your choir learned, experienced, all the wonderful things that came along with your performance, how you prepared for that.
Okay. So I think around that time I had just lost my college choir director, Mr. Costello. And so it was real important to me to honor his memory with this performance. And so every song we started out with the Glorious Everlasting, which is one that Thomas, oh, that's so horrible. It'll come back to me, I promise. And I did that in college, and then we moved to the Majesty and Glory of Her Name, which is such a moving piece by Tom Fedigan. That was a piece I actually fell in love with. I just found it one day on YouTube, and so I started listening to different choirs singing it. It's a slow piece, but it just speaks. It's straight from the Bible. It just speaks to everything. You know, you can kind of. And then we ended with Elijah Rock, which was one of my college professor's favorite songs. So preparing for that concert was just very, very nice. The kids fell in love with it. They fell in love with the music. They were so dedicated to it. I knew they would love the spiritual because it was upbeat, and I knew they would love the first song because it was upbeat too. I was kind of scared of how they would, you know, jump into the majesty and glory of your name, because we have kids in our choirs, you know, from different religious backgrounds. Some of them don't have religious backgrounds, so it's like, okay, the way I kind of started off is, okay, well, if to you it's just a story, that's all it is. It's just a story. So let's tell the story of what's going on. And I think that's how I kind of win them over. But I remember after they learned it and we performed it a couple of times in the classroom, and so they were like we sound really good. And I was like, yeah. And it was like, but we sound good because we're connecting to it. We know the song. I can remember one student, Lauren Thompson. She's actually at Prairie View A&M University. She's in the choir there too. And she was like, you know what really helps me is when we took the song and we broke it down phrase by phrase, saying, what are we saying here? What are we trying to portray here? What do we want the audience to get from this performance? And it was an awesome performance. I hate that we don't have the recording of it because.
Let me jump in on this.
Okay.
I actually was supposed to be the recorder. And I just gotten a new phone, and I thought I was recording it, but I guess I covered up the mic. And so it was in and out. So I never, listened to it. It was like we got bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And for me, as far as being a co-director, I don't really get to work with the chamber choir. A lot of the times, though, those students that are in the chamber choir are past students of mine that I passed up. And so I'm almost like a fan. And I think listening to that and being at that concert was, I think I wasn't a choir director anymore. I was more of a fan. Right. Because how beautiful they sounded. I was moved. I had tears in my eyes. I was like, oh my God, I am so blessed to be a part of this program because those kids, like, they poured their hearts out. I've never,
Yeah.
they sounded so beautiful,
Yes.
so gorgeous.
And just to have that, to sing in that venue, like when we went there and the kids were like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And they heard their echoes and acoustics.
Yeah,
And it
they
was like, yeah, they loved it. And we were warming up, and I never forget, one of the choir members came from downstairs. I guess they were downstairs. And he was like, oh my God, I just had to come up and hear what you guys were singing. So that just kind of, motivated them also. And the thing about our kids is they're never really shy about performing. We try to make sure that we get them to perform. We perform everywhere. Yes. So they're definitely always ready to put on their game face. And sometimes after a performance, if they knew something went wrong, I don't even get a chance to correct it. They don't even give me that joy anymore. They'll be like, we could have did this better. We could have did this. And it's like, okay, calm down. It was fine. Everyone loved it. Yeah. So we do teach them to set the bar high. And sometimes I have to let them know, sometimes it's not going to be perfect. But if you get out there and you bare your soul and you give 100% your own, it's good enough for me, despite a rating, despite anything. And so being able to have that performance and be a part of that, it was amazing. They were blown away by the Houston Chamber Choir when they got up and did their selections, because they did so many fun pieces. And my kids were like, oh my God, we want to do that. We want to do that. So it's like, okay, here we go. And the kids will write it down. I mean, it's gotten to the point now where kids will send me YouTube clips of choral music and be like, I love this song. Can we do this? And that just blows me over. That's like, I mean, what kids are doing that, especially in our community, the kids that we teach, giving them something else, they fall in love with it. And a lot of people always say, what's your secret, or what do you guys do? And I don't really have a specific answer for that. I just feel like I love it so much. She loves it so much. And I think the kids just feed off of it, and they love it. Yeah.
And just going off of the concert, everybody was very supportive. I just remember that. And I do remember how they were very uplifting to the students.
Yes.
Sally Schott was amazing. She gave them encouraging words that they really took, and they were talking about that too. Like, man, she said some nice things, and everybody that would come up to, oh, y'all are amazing. So they felt like superstars.
They did.
Like, man, we did that, So it was just very supportive. And I think it's important for our students, of all students, but especially, our students, to feel supported.
Yes.
And uplifted like that. So it was a great experience for them.
Yes, definitely.
So, more than 2 years later, the shine of Davis High School's choirs just won't quit. Can you tell me a little bit about your achievements that you've been doing, what you've been up to?
Oh, gosh. So, what happened? Yes. That particular year, oh no, that was the year before. But in Texas, UIL is such a huge thing. And everyone wants that sweepstakes trophy. Like, you just have to have it. It supposedly sets the bar, and that's what it's about. But I've gotten away from that. I feel like if we do what we do, then it's going to come at the end. And it has been, since 2016, where I think we had, like, the first time we had 4 choirs to get sweepstakes in 1 year. I think after that, they were just like, oh my God. And it's not even just, 4, I know. And so it was after the first group was the sub non-varsity girls. That was that first freshman advanced group. And the first time we were in the siren room, I tell this story, they crashed and burned, but they get a second read. So after that, they did it. And I was like, okay, 1 sweepstakes, then 2, and like 3, then 4. It's like, wow, So from that, it just kind of exploded. Like, we started doing the invitationals. We were performing everywhere. And then I got a call from the Houston Symphony Orchestra, and they were like, we want you guys to perform with us. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. And it kind of scared me a little bit. I was like, wow, that's kind of huge, like the Houston Symphony Orchestra. So before I could even accept, my performing arts director had already accepted it for me. So they were like emailing me stuff, and I was like, I didn't even give an answer yet. He was like, oh no, we're doing this. And so that experience in itself was so awesome for the kids. And we did it with HSPVA's choir and the Houston Symphony Orchestra. It was just an amazing performance. The kids were extremely moved, and I think they felt a sense of accomplishment, because It's a high honor. It had never been, there had never been a high school in Aldine asked to do that. So it was just something that, and we didn't go out searching for it. It kind of came to us. And so Ms. Jefferson will be like, Mr. Freeman, you got to say no to some of these things, man. Because every year it's like, well, not no, but sometimes I'll stack up on things. I'll be like, okay, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we can do that. And then we start doing our schedule like, oh my God, how are we going to do all of this? So, but yes, we've been performing nonstop. The tours that we do every year.
Off of that Houston Symphony performance, and being invited to sing in that venue in Jones Hall. When the kids first walked in there, I mean,
oh yeah.
Some of them have never seen a symphony before, an orchestra before. And so a lot of them were kind of in shock. And then they found out they were going to be on these big old jumbo videos, TVs or whatever. And so I smile the whole time. You got to, and we even had one of our students who did some impromptu choreography.
Yes.
On the Jumbotron in the middle of the concert.
Theater. Yes.
But he was so excited, and he it just overcame him. That performance from our students inspired me so much.
Yes.
That following January, I actually auditioned for the Houston Symphony Chorus, and I've been singing with them ever since. And it's all because of my students. And I know a lot of times we inspire our students, but every now and then, we look at our students and we're inspired. And that was one of the things I was like, if my kids can sing with this symphony, I want to sing with them. And I've been singing with them ever since. So
yes,
that's a great testimony.
I can't do it. I'm too busy, but I love that she's doing it.
Thank him all the time.
It's too much for me, but I think it's an awesome thing. It really is. Yeah. So we've been busy. It's nonstop. Even this year, with everything that's been going on, before that all happened, we had a very busy schedule because we were singing with the Houston Symphony Orchestra again. They actually invited us over again for the next year. And I was like, man, this is awesome. 2 years back to back. And then, of course, the situation happened with the COVID-19, and it's just, it's been a tough semester. It was a tough semester for our seniors, especially because all the traditions and things that we get to do, those things were kind of put to a halt. And, you had to just deal with so much from online learning, but not even just online learning, but just trying to be there for the kids. Because like you said, we're so connected with our kids. They will come and talk to us about everything. Like sometimes it's like, whew, but we have to be there for them because you can't turn a kid away when they're trying to open up and they're being their authentic, genuine self with you. So yes, it is. And to do that through a phone call or through Schoology or just through messages, it's kind of hard. Yeah, because it was tough on a lot of them. They were dealing with depression and dealing with different things. And it's like, no one wants to get online and do schoolwork, through a computer when you're used to being face to face with someone, especially our seniors. It was really extremely hard on our seniors, but we made it through and we tried to do the best that we can to make them feel honored and special. We did a senior, the school came up with a senior parade, so all the seniors got to decorate their cars, and we normally do a banquet where we hand the seniors their cords and their baskets. So I was looking at one of the pink cords over there right now. But what we did was we set up all of the baskets on my car, and so as the seniors drove by, we handed them their baskets and their choir cords, and they were just like overwhelmed. It was amazing. Yeah. So
this is it's just really, it's overwhelming to see and hear the stories that you guys have to share, how you motivate your students, how they motivate you. It's amazing. And I can only imagine how much more and how much you can achieve in the years to come. Thank you so much, Daryle and Lanitha, for this conversation. I truly appreciated it.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. It was, when I saw the email, and I thought I responded at first, and then Ms. Jefferson called me. She was like, "Did you see that email?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, we're going to do that. That's going to be cool." Especially with everything that's been going on. I was like, "We need this," and the kids would really like to hear themselves. And then, of course, they're going to just comb through everything we said in this interview. So that'll be cool. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes.
Thank you so much
Yes.
for
Again.
Yes, thank you all.
Honored.
Definitely.
You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Special thanks to the Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs and Houston Arts Alliance for their consistent support, to our phenomenal guests, Daryle, Lanitha, and the wonderful students in Davis High School's choirs, and to you, our listeners, for tuning in. And now, please enjoy El Vito, composed by Joni Jensen and performed by the talented Davis High School Varsity Choir.
Houston Chamber Choirs with One Accord is your one-stop shop to choral joy. Help us to continue our mission to grow the esteem and appreciation of choral music by sharing, reviewing, and subscribing to our content. Visit us at houstonchamberchoir.org.